All right, so now we're moving on to weather conditions and patterns within that study guide. So this is the hard one, and there's lots of questions on it on the EOG. So first, you really need to understand the difference between weather and climate. So weather is the condition of the atmosphere at a certain time or place. So like the day-to-day changes in the atmosphere, because you have to think weather changes daily. It can even change hourly. Okay, just like yesterday, it was sunny in the morning, and then it's like pouring down rain when we should have been going out for recess. So weather, the condition of the atmosphere at any certain time. Measuring weather conditions can help meteorologists predict future weather. So, like knowing humidity, just like we talked about yesterday. If it's humid, then we can pretty much, if there's more moisture in the air, then we can pretty much count on a storm or a rain shower. Temperature is how warm the air is. A rain gauge measures precipitation. It's called a rain gauge, but it measures precipitation because it can measure rain, snow, sleet, or hail. A wind vane and anemometer measures wind speed and direction. Wind vane measures direction, north, south, east, west, but wind speed, or as in miles per hour the wind is traveling, goes with an anemometer. A barometer measures air pressure. Air pressure is like the weight of the air, and we have to go into high and low pressure systems in order to predict the weather. High, remember, you say high and you smile, so high pressure systems, happy sunny weather. But low, when you're feeling low, it might be like rainy, cloudy, like a rain cloud over your head. Rainy, low pressure system. Clouds are masses of teeny water droplets. That condensation, when we get back into water cycle, goes with the condensation when the water vapor cools and condenses and turns back into a liquid, or those water droplets. It creates clouds. Clouds form when water vapor in the air cools and condenses around teeny pieces of dust in the air. There's different types of clouds. They're used to describe weather and predict weather. Stratus are low, sheet-like gray clouds that bring rain sometimes. Sometimes it's just overcast where it's like a sheet of gray. They're usually layered. This can bring snow in winter or rain, and they usually it's cloudy all day. Cumulus are puffy, fair weather clouds. Usually get partly cloudy or partly sunny within this. They're usually a good weather day. They're like the clouds you drew as a kid that are puff balls. Cumulonimbus are large thunder head clouds that bring thunderstorms. They're anvil shaped and grow through all the layers of the atmosphere. They bring severe weather. Cirrus are wispy, thin, high-level clouds that are associated with fair weather, and they can say within like a 24-hour period, rain may come. But they're like thin and wispy, very high-level clouds. Think of it like hair blowing in the wind. An air mass is a large body of air with about the same temperature and humidity or moisture throughout. So large body, mass, weight, large, bad. Think of it like that. Okay, air. So air is what? Think of temperature, humidity, everything that goes within this when we're talking about weather. Large body of air is an air mass. Front, or where two air masses meet, or the line breaking them apart. Okay? A cold front is when cold air masses replace warm air masses. When they bump against them, it can bring storms. So when cold air bumps against warm air, it can bring strong storms such as thunderstorms or snowstorms, and it can cause a drop in temperature. That's why it's usually called a cold front, because the temperature drops. You can still get those within the summertime. If you think about it, we get a lot of wind if you've been outside at the pool and a thunderstorm comes in the afternoon, but the temperature drops 10 degrees. If it was in the 90s, now we're like if we're at 90, now we're like at 79, 78. That's a big drop in temperature for a day. A warm front is when warm air replaces cold air. When these meet, the warm air rises over the cold. It often brings rain. Stratus clouds cover the whole sky in that gray sheet, but there's an increase in temperature, so the air is warmer. That's why we associate it as a warm front. a stationary front. Stationary means still, like stop. Stationary bike, if you've heard of that, like bikes you can pedal and go around. A stationary bike, like an exercise bike, stays in one place and people use it for exercise. It doesn't move. It doesn't have actual wheels that move. It stays in place. So a stationary front are where two air masses meet and stop moving. This brings clouds and precipitation that often last several days. It stopped moving. That was my reference to the stationary bike. It stops moving and it lasts several days. I know for a while there, a couple weeks back, it was like raining for a whole week. We didn't have recess forever. And right now, as we go into summer, where it's looking that way, we have in the forecast chance of thunderstorms each night or each evening. So I want to look into more of why that is as we review weather. See if you can figure that out. If you comment back on Schoology, then I'll give you extra credit. Pays to watch these videos. Uneven heating of Earth's surface causes wind. Wind is just moving air. Remember, the greater the difference in temperature and pressure, the more wind there will be. So, once that hot air rises, cool air moves in, that creates wind, moving air. Prevailing westerlies, the global winds that affect the United States. We talk about this in 5th grade science for weather because it's predicting our weather and we're in the United States. Wind is named from the direction it blows. So prevailing westerlies, they go from west to east. They are named from where they start to where they go. Westerlies, they start in the west and move to the east. And we know weather moves across the United States from California to North Carolina. That's west to east. North Carolina is on the east coast. California, west coast. From west to east. The jet stream is an air current that flows from west to east as well. It's responsible for a lot of bringing a lot of our weather across the United States. When the jet stream dips south, and remember these are bands of wind that fluctuate throughout the day, because when we were looking at the storms and the hurricanes at the beginning of the year, we were looking at how the jet stream could affect this, and it would change daily. So we would check in on that. When the jet stream dips south, though, as it's going across the United States and waving, okay, when the jet stream dips south, well, think of what is south. It brings cold Arctic air down into the United States. Because it comes across and it dips south into the United States, it's going to bring that cold Arctic air down. When the jet stream bends north, it carries warm air from the south up to the north. The Gulf Stream is a warm ocean current. Do not get this confused and think it's in the Gulf of Mexico, because it's not, okay? And they will have a question on the EOG that says, where is the Gulf Stream located? And you are going to circle the Gulf of Mexico because it has Gulf and it has Gulf and wrong. So, the Gulf Stream is on the side, on the east coast of the United States. It's a warm ocean current in the Atlantic Ocean by us that carries warm waters out across the Atlantic Ocean and towards the north. It keeps weather along the coastline. So, if my face is the United States or North America, okay? Chin is Florida, and then up the side, okay? So, the Gulf Stream, warm waters by the equator, tropical waters, okay? It moves up, moves north, and keeps going east across the Atlantic. It brings those warm waters from down in the tropical areas, tropical climate, and brings them north. El Nino is an unusual warming of surface water in the Pacific, and La Nina is the unusual cooling of surface water in the Pacific. That's on the other side. Hasn't been too deep in the last couple bit about it, but just knowing or looking into what are those things. They're phenomena. They happen every couple of years, and it changes because weather and wind move from west to east, so it affects our weather here. The change in climate. So El Nino will make it warmer, and La Nina will make it cooler. Living organisms. An organism is a living thing, so we're getting into cells and human body systems. And we went really deep into this within our PBLs, and this is going to seem so easy and basic to you because you are the experts. Cells are the basic building blocks of living organisms. Cells can carry out all processes necessary for life. So, cells are living. They're the building blocks, they're the smallest pieces. Unicellular organisms are made of only one cell and can carry out all the basic life processes. Within that one cell, it can do everything necessary for life. They can move, find food, grow, and reproduce, all within this one cell. Examples within that can be bacteria, amoeba, Ingella, gotta work on how I say that, and paramecia. Multicellular organisms like us are a living thing made out of one or more cells, and all these cells have different jobs. Unicellular organisms can take in material directly from their environment, okay, like a bacteria. They take it in directly. While multicellular organisms, like us, have to have systems, like the human body systems, for moving materials from cell to cell, how we're all connected. Remember when we did the web? Human body systems are groups of body parts that work together to carry out all the body's functions. Functions are meaning its job. Every system has a job to have a sustained life, for us to live. The respiratory system takes in oxygen from the air we breathe. It involves the nose, mouth, the trachea, lungs, and the diaphragm. Okay, all of these components in the respiratory system are responsible for taking in oxygen because we need to get that air to our cells in our body all the way down to your fingers and toes. Okay, it's got to get that in and remove the waste, the carbon dioxide from your body. So when you inhale, you're taking it in. And when you exhale, you're taking the waste out, breathing, exhaling it out. The digestive system breaks down food so it can be used by the body. It involves the mouth, the esophagus, the stomach, the small intestine, and large intestine. So the digestive system, when we eat, digestive means to break down. So it breaks down our food into what we need, the nutrition we need to get to the cells. So it gets all the way down into the nutrition that we need and transports it to the cells. But our whole transport system falls into another human body system. This goes into the circulatory or cardiovascular. So circulatory carries oxygen that we got from the respiratory system, food that we got from the digestive system, and waste throughout the body. It involves the heart, blood vessels, and blood. Cardiovascular system, they're used interchangeably, so no, that really has to do with your blood vessels, arteries, and your heart for cardio, heart. It is responsible, it's your transport. It's transporting the oxygen and nutrients to the cells in your body through your blood. The skeletal system is the basic framework of the body. It's made up of bones. And you're kind of thinking like, duh, but it has lots of jobs. It protects your vital organs. It gives your body its overall structure, so you're not just a pile of blah. It's responsible for creating your blood cells within your blood marrow. It has a lot of important pieces within here, more than just providing you with structure. The muscular system is made of the muscles attached to the bones that create movement. So without having your muscles attached to bones, you would not be able to move. So a main job with your muscular system is movement. The nervous system controls all the body systems by transmitting electrical messages from the brain to other parts of the body. It involves the brain, spinal cord, and nerve cells. So the nervous system is responsible for sending all the messages to your other systems to keep them going and working to keep you alive. So it kind of organizes everything. Now we're going to look into genetics a little bit, and I know we went through this really quick, but it's really easy. Trait is a quality or characteristic of a living thing. So having green eyes is one of my traits. Having red hair, although it's been a bunch of different colors, is a trait, or being tall. A behavior is how a living a thing responds to its surroundings. So behavior is learned by who you associate with,